Avos Aleph Dalet. Yossi ben Yotzer, leader of Seredid, and Yossi ben Yochanan, the leader of Yerushalayim, received the Masorah from them. Yossi ben Yosef, the leader of Sereda, says, "Let your house be a house of meeting for sages, and become dusty in the dust of their feet, and drink their words of the thirst." Yossi ben Yochanan, the leader of the Yerushalayim, says, "Let your house be open wide, and the prophets should be members of your household, and do not converse excessively with the women." It said that this with regard to one's wife. How much more so does it apply with regard to the wife of another? From here, the Chachamim said, whenever a person converses excessively with the women, he causes evil to himself, neglects Torah study, and ultimately will inherit Gehenna. Yoshua ben Barakiah and Nita of Arbel received the Masorah from them. Yoshua ben Barakiah says, "Make a teacher for yourself, purchase a friend for yourself, and judge every person favorably." Okay.
All right. So having just had Yoshua ben Barakiah talking about how you need to judge everyone favorably, Nitzai Arbeli comes and says, but just be careful. Okay, harchek mishach ra. All very well judging people favorably, but if somebody is genuinely bad, stay away from them. And don't even join with a bad person. When for learning Torah. He's not much of an outreach guy, let's just say. He's saying like it's impossible for a person to enter a tannery without coming out and smelling. So just he's saying keep your distance from evil people. And just because you see evil people prospering, don't worry. It's their time will come, and they will get what is coming to them. Okay. Yehuda ben Tabai v'Shimon ben Shatach kiblu mehem. So the next zug that comes after these two. Now Shimon ben Shatach was famous because it was during his time that there was a king Yanai who went rampant and murdered all the Chachamim of Israel, and his sister, who was married to Yanai, his sister was the queen. She was Yanai, married to Yanai, and she managed to keep her brother hidden. And eventually she managed to bring her husband around to say, "Oops, what have I done?" And she brought Shimon out of hiding, and Shimon sent a message to Yehuda ben Tabai, who had taken refuge in Alexandria, and said come back. So they had a lot of work of reestablishment to be done. It was like a little mini Holocaust that happened over there.
Right.
So Yehuda ben Tabai Omer al tas atzmecha ke'orchei hadayanim. His advice is to judges. He says don't make yourself like lawyers. Why? Because what does that mean? Say, listen, if you say it this way, coaching people how to testify so that their testimony will be accepted. That's a perversion of justice. If you're like coaching your witnesses. You go let them talk the way they're going to talk, and we want to see what comes out of it. Just let it flow naturally. And when the litigants are standing in front of you, you have to look at both of them as if they are evil, and in other words, mistrust everything that they're saying. Look for ways where they're saying things wrong, and say, I've caught you on this one. So the filter that you got to put over yourself as a judge when you're looking at the two litigants is they're evil and they're going to lie, and my job is to catch them. Okay, but when the judgment has been passed and they leave you, you must look at them both as if they're innocent and totally righteous because they've accepted. Okay, the din is such and such a way. And now it's and now that they've accepted it, they're completely righteous, and you shouldn't hold anything against them, even if somebody damaged somebody else. Now that he's accepted the verdict, it's he goes back to his original Cheskes Kashas. Mishna Tes Shimon ben Shatach Omer Heve Marbe Lach Koris Aidim interrogate the witnesses ad nauseum. The more you interrogate the witnesses, the better. Be very careful with what you say and how you ask the questions. Shema mitocham yilmadu l'shaker. So don't ask leading questions that make it clear what you're looking for. And they say, "Oh, I see. He's looking for us to say, did we? Did you?" It's you know what it is to lead a witness. If you ask a question and that's looking for what you want, and they say, yes, we did that. Yeah. So he says,
Right.
that's his advice to the judges again. Okay, done. And
Avos.
what is our
test for an idol that was abandoned by worshippers. If this occurred in time of peace,
stop.
no, the next one. Zion.
No,
Zion.
we're in Dalet Zayin, yeah.
Yeah. They asked the elders in Rome, if he does not want idol worship, why does he not make it clear? Why doesn't he make it cease? I'm a mistake. I changed the word.
Yeah.
Why does he not make it cease? Then the sages said to him, if the idolaters would worship something which the world does not need, he would make it cease. But they worship the sun, the moon, the stars, the constellations. Should he destroy his world because of the fools? They said to them, to the sages, if so, let him destroy the idolater things which the world does not need, and leave the idolatrous things which the world does need. They said to them, then we too would lend support to the worshippers of these, because they would say, you must prepare the proof of that they are gods, and that they have not ceased. That which is in yes. One may buy a trodden wine press from an idolater, even though he takes with his hand and places in the mound, and he does not become Nesic wine until it descends into the cistern. If it descends into the cistern, that which is in the cistern is prohibited, and the remainder is permitted. Okay. That was it, right?
No, wait.
One more?
Where did this? Oh yeah, okay. Sorry, I lost my place. Fine. Test.
Okay, that's it.
Do test as well.
3.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Do we need test as
All
well?
right. One may trade with an idolater in the wine press, but one may not harvest grapes with him. If a few Jew processes his fruits in a state of tumor, one may not tread, one harvest grapes with him, but one may transport barrels to the wine press with him and carry away with the wine press with him. If a baker processes in tumor, one may not need or roll dough with him, but one may transport bread to the retailer with him.
Okay.
Okay. Adios.
Yep.
Base Gimel. He also testified about a small village that was adjacent to Yerushalayim, and there was in this village a certain sage and he would lend money to all the villages, and he would write in his own hand and other signs. When the incident came before the Chacham, they permitted it. And from this testimony, you may learn incidentally that a woman may write her own get, and a man may write his own receipt. So because of the validation of the document was affected only by the signers. Rabbi Hanina testified concerning a needle that was discovered in the flesh, that the knife and the hands are tahor, as the flesh is tameh. And if the needle was discovered in the excrement, everything is tahor. Rabbi Yismael stated 3 things before the sages in the Academy of Yavna. The first testimony was concerning a beaten egg that was put on top of a vegetable of truma, that it is a connection. But if the egg was like a helmet, it is not a connection. And Rabbi Mishna also testified here concerning an ear of standing grain in the reap section of the field, and the tip of this ear reaches the standing section. If it is cut together with the other standing grain, it belongs to the owner. If not, it belongs to the poor. Rabbi Yismael testified concerning a small garden that is surrounded by Charles lions, that if there is in this garden space for the grape harvester, and his basket here, and a space for a grape harvester, and his basket here, it may be sown, and if not, it may not be sown. Okay.
And hay as well.
Okay. These things the disciples stated before Rabbi Yismael, and he would not state either a prohibition or a permit regarding them. And Rabbi Yeshua ben Masha clarified them. They asked about one who squeezes a boil on the Shabbos, and Rabbi Yeshua ben Bassis clarified, if his intent was to make an opening for it, he is liable. But if his intent was to move the pus from in, then he is not liable. They asked the law regarding the one who traps a snake on Shabbos. Rabbi Yeshua ben Bassis said, if he is involved with it so that it will not bite him, he is not liable. If traps it for medicinal use, he is liable. And they asked the law regarding sealed spots. But Yeshua ben Masih clarified that in the tent of a corpus they are tahor, but they are tameh when carried by a zav. If Elazar ben Zadok says they are also tahor when carried by a zav because the processing has not been completed.
Okay, now we can go to well. First let's finish Bava Metzia.
I'm sorry. Okay. Good Vav. If there were two gardens, one above the other with vegetables between them, Reb Meir says they belong to the upper one. Reb Yehuda says they belong to the lower one. Reb Meir, if the upper one should decide to remove his earth, there would be no vegetables. Said Reb Yehuda, if the lower one should decide to fill up his garden, there would be no vegetables. Said Reb Meir, since both of them can stop one another, we should see from there where these vegetables sustain themselves. Said Reb Shimon, wherever the upper one can stretch out his hand and take it in his, and the remainder belongs to the lower one. Okay.
Okay, now
partners who agree to the partition of a courtyard build the wall in the middle. Wherever they are accustomed to build with untrimmed stones or hewn stones, or half bricks or bricks, they build all in accordance with the custom of the province. For untrimmed stones, each one provides 3 handbreadths. For hewn stones, each one provides 2.5 handbreadths. For half bricks, each one provides 2. Should be 2 tefakim. For bricks, each one provides 1.5 tefakim. Therefore, if the wall fell, the place and the stones belong to them both. Similarly, a garden is treated generally as a place where they were accustomed to fence off, and we obligate them to do so. However, a valley is treated generally as a place where they are accustomed to have to fence off, and we do not obligate them to do so. Rather, if he desires, he should resort into his own field, build a fence, and make a mark on the outside, and therefore, if the wall fell, the space and the stones belong to him. If they made it by common consent, they build the wall in the middle and make marks on both sides. Therefore, if the wall fell, the place and the stones belong to both of them. Okay.
Okay.
Now we go on to
Yevamos, yeah.
Okay, a Kohen Gadol may not marry a widow, neither a widow for betrothal nor a widow for marriage, and he may not marry a Bogeres. If Elazar and Reb Shimon, however, validate marriage with Bogeres, and he may not marry the victim of a blow. If he betrothed a widow and was then anointed Kohen Gadol, he may marry her. If it happened that Yeshua ben Gamil betrothed Marsa, the daughter of Basros, and the king then appointed him to be Kohen Gadol, and he married her. If a widow awaiting her Yavim fell to an ordinary Kohen, he was then appointed to be Kohen Gadol. Even if he had already performed Mama with her, he may not marry her. If a Kohen Gadol's brother died, he performed Elisa, but not Yibum. As an ordinary Kohen may not marry alone unless he has a widow or a wife or a children. Yehuda says even if he has a wife and children, he may not marry alone because she is the Zona mentioned in the Torah. Then the comment, however, says Zona refers only to a female convert and a freed slave man or who engage in forbidden cohabitation. A man may not refrain from the mitzvah of being fruitful and multiplying unless he has children. The Shammai says, and the second woman can remain with her for 10 years. If she miscarried, he counts from the time of her miscarriage. And a man is commanded to be fruitful and multiply, but not the woman. The Yochanan says, concerning both of them, it is stated, God blessed them and told them to be fruitful and multiply. Okay.
Okay. An interesting point. I was just reflecting on the first Mishna we learned now in Yevamos, with the Kohen Gadol who had already done. So Kohen Gadol is not allowed to marry a widow. Mm-hmm. But let's say he was a Kohen and he married a widow. He all he done was Kiddush and he hadn't taken her to the chuppah yet. And now they appoint him as Kohen Gadol. Can he now marry this woman? So the question is, why we see over here that he is allowed to marry her, as opposed to the case where he's a Yavam, he's a Kohen who's doing a Yibum on his brother's widow, and he does Mamar, and at that point she becomes Kohen Gadol, and now he has to do a chalitza and give her a get. Okay, so now So the interesting thing over here is, why is this? Because the din that Kohen Gadol is not allowed to marry a widow is a din d'oraisa.
Right.
Okay. Now, what happens when he's done mamar? Mamar is just a kiddush in Rabbanan. So in reality, if you look at the Torah view of things, having done mamar to this woman has done nothing, because the way of marrying a yavama is with bia. Okay, so therefore it's not his wife, and the Rabbanan are not now going to permit somebody who's not married to now marry a widow. So he has to discharge her. And how's he going to discharge her? Well, she needs a chalitza midoraisa, and now she also needs a get midrabanan, because the mamar is a marriage derabanan. But on the other hand, what's the difference between kiddushin and nisuin? Kiddushin is already a kinyan d'oraisa. When a man gives the woman the ring and says harat mikadeshesli, and she accepts it, this is already she's already d'oraisa. She is his wife. Now we have this bracha, under the chuppah, where we say v'tzivanu ala arayos v'asalana isa arusos v'etzilana isa nesuos lana al yedei chuppah v'kiddushin. This over here is talking about the Chazal said that there's a separation between the kinyan and the chuppah. The whole institution of chuppah and nisuin is a rabbinic institution, because up until now, they're actually married, but Chazal wanted it to have chuppah as a separate thing, so they instituted this as well. Now that's not going to prevent the Kohen Gadol, who on a d'oraisa level is already married to the widow. So the chuppah does not prevent him from this is now already his wife, so taking her to the chuppah is not a violation, even once he becomes the Kohen Gadol. That's just I just realized that's a useful filter to look at the situation.
But you mentioned he would have to do Kalita, but at Kalita, that's it. There's nothing after Kalita.
Well, the problem is that he'd done the mamar before.
Right.
Once he's done mamar, then he's going to have to undo that as well, because that looks like a kiddushin, and looks like they're married. So, and chalitza is not a way to discharge a marriage. He also has to give her a get to make sure that she is free.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Shavius.
We have here Dalad. If one thins out olive trees, Beit Shammai says he cuts them to the roots, but Beis Hillel says he may uproot them. But they admit that if he levels, he may only cut them to the roots. What is thinning? 1 or 2. Leveling? 3. One next to the other. One next to the other. When does this apply? In his, but in his neighbor's, even if it's leveled, he must uproot. If one splits wood off of an olive tree, one may not cover it with earth, but he may cover it with stones and with straw. If one cuts down a sycamore tree, he may not cover it with earth, but he may cover it with stones or wax. One may not cut a virgin sycamore tree in the 7th year, because it is regarded as work. And Rehuda says it is forbidden in the usual manner unless he raises it 10 to fuckum and cuts down to the roots. If one clips vines or cuts reeds, Rabbi Yossi Agili says he must keep distance 1 handbreadth. Rabbi Akiva says he cuts in his usual manner, but if with an axe or a sickle or saw or with earth, whatever he prefers. A tree with splits might be tied up in the 7th year, not so that it should heal, but that it should not continue.
Okay.
And we have
Kalim.
And here we go. Yud Aleph. There are 3 water skins and 3 sheep herds patches. Those that can contain the prescribed amount are susceptible to becoming tamei with midges tumah. Those that cannot contain the prescribed amount are susceptible to becoming tamei with corpse tumah, and those made of fish skin or tahor from any form of tumah. There are 3 animal hides. A hide designed to be used as a rug are susceptible to becoming tumah with midges tumah. If a hide used as a wrapping for utensils as is susceptible to becoming tamei with corpse tumah, for a hide intended for use as straps or as sandals or as tahor from any form of tumah. There are 3 sheets: a sheet that is designed for lying, or a sheet is to be becoming tamei with midges tumah. A sheet that is designed for use as a curtain is susceptible to becoming tamei with corpse tumah, and a sheet that for pictures is a tummy from any form of tshuva.
Okay. That's
Sounds
it.
good? Okay.
And I'm gonna run.
There you go. Have a great day.
Okay, have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.